ask everybody to stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just as an explanation, due to a recommendation from the Department of Health to consider options, not that we were told to, we have asked to accommodate all of our neighbors by having people who are more comfortable masked on one side and people who are more comfortable non-masked on the other. And we'll just all be respectful of our neighbors' choices, and we'll be able to move on. Okay. Like to introduce some people for you. I'd like to introduce Town Clerk Tax Collector Tammy Bakey, who will be taking the minutes. So if you come and speak to them up at the mic, please give her your name so she can have the minutes reflect that. And if she needs it spelled, she will let you know. We also have our Board of Selectmen, which is Electra Alessio, Don Briggs Jr., Richard Wilson, where are we now? Phil Coombs and Kevin St. James. We have Chuck Hart, who's the chairman of the Budget Committee, and he is now going to introduce his committee to you.
All right, we'll do the back table first. First one here is Rick Russman, John Cromberg, Gary Finity, Flo Diaz, and going from, I guess, the far end, Trish Tidd, Shaw Tilton, and I forget your last name, Ross, Kim Donahue, and Stacy Dion.
Thank you. I'm your moderator, Ellen Faulkner. And for those people who may be new or who are at home, the purpose of the deliberative session is to explain, discuss, and debate the appropriate warrant articles, and then we vote on the final language that's going to be proposed to the voters at the March election. Part of the ballot has already been established, elected officials, zoning articles. They've already had their public hearings. There has been a change this year in how the zoning ordinances are going to be offered on the ballot. And one of the members of the Board of Selectmen, Phil, are you doing this? Will explain what the change is, just so the voters will be aware. Or not. Should I just do it quickly?
Yeah, please.
Okay. All right. The selectmen will defer to me. Just this year, to save costs and save a lot of the printing, a lot of times there have been a lot of concerns from voters that the ballot for the articles for zoning changes are extremely long. So this year, because it's allowed by RSA, there's just going to be sort of a short synopsis of what the article is for, but there will be, the full text will be available at election. It's going to be on the website so people can see what the full text is, but this is just a shortened version. So that's going to be a change this year, so we are taking this opportunity to let people know that that's going to happen. Anything else? Okay. One of the other items that's not open for amendment at this hearing is the default budget, and once the budget is reviewed, the Board of Selectmen will discuss the default budget. The other thing I want to let you all know, because I think it's only fair to let you know, if during this meeting I make a ruling that you all do not agree with, you're able to make a motion and vote to overturn my decision. So I do want to let you all know that that's a possibility. I do not, however, recommend it. No, just kidding. So what we're going to do is we're going to read each of the warrant articles, the financial ones. We're going to begin with the operating budget, and then we'll need to have a motion and a second to put it on the ballot and with any changes or whatever. If no one has any questions on how we're going to be operating, good, okay, we'll begin. So, we're going to start with Article 12, which is the operating budget. It says, shall the town of Kingston raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth in the budget posted with the warrant, or is amended by vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $7,174,516. Should this article be defeated, The default budget shall be $6,999,716, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Kingston or by law. Or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, Roman numeral 10, and Roman numeral 16, to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Estimated tax impact is $5.41 per thousand. And I'm now going to turn it over to Mr. Hart, who will then review the budget and all the work that the Budget Committee did to get to this number.
Thank you. I am going to review the budget, obviously not line by line, but we will go over the items that pretty much affected it to cause the increase or the larger amount changes. One of the increase items again this year is the salary over carryovers from last year and several new ones this year. The fire department had a large increase in salaries due to keeping the per diem firefighters, EMTs, in line with other towns, so we do not lose them. The other one is the continuation of the bond and the interest payments, which of course we have that every year, although this year it was only 1% of the budget, because it goes down every year. There is also a 3% COLA increase for most all employees. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's 3% increase of the budget. It's just that that was the amount approved by the selectmen. All of the other departments were from 0% to 2% on average. Some actually went down. Some of them stayed the same. And those particular ones, you know, you can see that on the budget. But what I'd like to do now is to just go over briefly the larger items, the ones that really cause the total budget, which is 8%. Under the selectmen's budget or the executive, as it's listed on the budget sheet, computer maintenance, ongoing contract with a company called Block 5. And they had to budget $78,000 for that, which actually is from last year. So that brought their budget up significantly. Elections, this year we have more elections than we had in the past, so that one shows an increase. Personnel, benefits, retirement, health insurance. This is up 5% over last year, again, which we don't have any control over. Obviously, they go up every year like the towns and ours. Cemeteries, this is up due to a pay increase and a new contract for the maintenance and grass cutting. General government, which we carry our gasoline line onto that, and we've had to increase that, which due to the fact we all know the price of gasoline is out of control. So that's had a pretty good increase in it. The police budget, general salary increases again for full-time employees. The other big item is increases due to replacing new safety equipment to include flak vests and tasers to keep up with the police safety and standards. So those two items were added in this year. Town inspectors, we have a new position which was approved last year by warrant article, and that amount is in there, so that's brought that one up. And there's been an increase in the inspector's pay, albeit that the permit fees go up, so the inspector's pay can go up, so it kind of corrects itself. We have to include that in the budget. Highway department, again, salary increases from last year, plus full-time secretary that got approved last year and is back on for a full year. Anticipated cost of salt and sand for this year. Rich has to make adjustments as we even go along, but we had to carry more there to be safe. Sanitation, Kingston has to sponsor a fall recycle collection, which we have to budget $92,000 for. Most of us know that there's like 5 towns that are involved with that. Generally speaking, it will cost probably Kingston $20,000 of that. The balance of that is reimbursed by the participating towns. So again, we have to carry it in the budget. It brings it up, makes it look higher than it is. but we do get reimbursed for that. Parks and Recreation, this is up due to salaries as the director. Starting in June is going to be increasing his hours, which will really help the program. We'll have him for more times to be able to put into it. The museum, that budget is up because they're updating their technology. So those really are the major general ones that have gotten our budget up to 8%. We worked diligently. Originally, we came in at 10%, and we worked diligently to get it down as far as we could, keeping it within safety reasons of having money to do what the town needs to do. In closing, even though the budget says an 8% increase as it did last year, we must account for the fact that $2.5 million is estimated in revenues, which in actuality we had more revenue than estimated last year. So there is some carryover there. Again, that amount, and the fact is that last year there's probably around, it's just an estimate, maybe 800,000 that was turned back in, which again, all goes back to setting the tax rate so that that actual 8% probably would end up being 4%, as my estimate. Don't hold me to it, because it could change, but these will all help keep the tax rate line down. With that, that's what I have. I would just like to thank the Budget Committee for all their due diligence in the course of the year and our many meetings and discussions that we've had. Thank you.
Can I have a motion to move that to the floor, and then we can talk about it?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Richard Wilson? And now, before we actually talk about the details, the Board of Selectmen will just review the default budget, so that way this whole article is discussed, and then we can ask any questions.
Basically, the default budget is last year's budget plus contractual obligations, which we're required to include. And that's how the default budget is calculated.
Okay, do we have any questions on the budget or the default budget that anyone would like to ask at this time, or any comments supporting or not the budget?
I just have a question.
Could I have your name again, please? Did you hear it, Tammy?
No.
Could you just say your name again?
Usually accused of not being able to be heard, but can you hear me?
I don't think the
I don't think
mic
it's
is
on.
It's on. Is that better? I actually just have a question on the warrant article here. You have the estimated tax impact of only one estimated tax impact listed here. Are you going to include the estimated tax impact of the default budget? There was a petition warrant article 2 years ago that the voters did approve to require listing the tax impact of every money article. So I'm just wondering why that's not here, and if you're going to add it.
The Board of Selectmen are nodding, so.
Answer is yes.
We'll add that.
Right? Anybody else have any comments for or against the budget? If not, we're going to take a vote and move on. I see no hands raised, so all in favor of putting forth the budget article as written, please, or with the addition of the default estimated tax impact added, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? All right. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to authorize the tax collector to allow a 1.5% deduction from property tax when payment is made prior to the due date. It is the responsibility of the taxpayers to take the deduction. Deductions not taken by the taxpayer on or before the due date will not be refunded. Thank you. Can I have a second? Richard's nodding. Excellent. Does anyone have any comments, questions on this article? If not, we'll move it forward as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 for the purpose of acquiring land for future use as a source of drinking water, and to withdraw $100,000 from the Land Acquisition Capital Reserve Fund. This special article is a special warrant article per RSA 32:3, Roman numeral 6D, and RSA 32:7, Roman numeral 5. The Select Board and the Budget Committee recommend this appropriation. It's no tax impact, majority vote required. Do I have a motion? Bill and
Second.
Kevin a second. Is there any discussion on this article or any questions? Sure.
So the purpose of this is to acquire a parcel of land. It's for setting up the infrastructure for water, essentially. A lot of the land that was acquired for town forests and such doesn't have provisions for water extraction. Should we need that for public drinking water, or if the town wanted to sell water, or whatever the case may be, we don't have any infrastructure to do that. Kingston is the Saudi Arabia of water, so this would set us up to be able to utilize that in whatever the situation may dictate moving forward. This also takes a section that was within the town forest and removes it from being developed at any point in the future. The person selling it to us is actually giving us a pretty decent price on it, so I think it's something that would be good on both accounts, just to kind of remove that piece of land from being developed and allow the town to utilize it for future uses for water. Hope you support it.
Do we have any other comments or questions on this article? If not, all in favor of moving it to the warrant as written, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be added to the Buildings Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Majority vote required. Estimated tax impact is 12 cents per thousand. And do I have a motion? Thank you. A second is Richard Wilson. Discussion, Mr. St. Hilaire.
Good morning, folks. Thanks for being here.
I think so, but I don't know.
Hello. Can you hear me? Thank you. Thanks for being here, folks. This one's should be on boilerplate. We do it every year. This is a fund that was set up in the late 80s, early 90s for special projects. There's a pump, damage to the building, unexpected damages. There are a couple projects that have to happen. This year, once they put a log line from the fire station basically to the town hall, that will come out of this fund. And you have a big project probably is going to be with the front steps through my school. But those will do the big projects. We do this every year, hopefully, to have a level of funding for budgets, so you can on the peaks and valleys of place cap next year out, cap reserves are set up. If you put money in every year, you don't necessarily spend money on it every year, but when you need it, it's available. So hopefully you'll support this.
Do we have any other comments or questions on this article? If not, take a vote to move this forward to the ballot as written. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Article 16, to see if the town of Kingston will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be added to the highway, did I just read this? No. To the Highway Department Equipment Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Majority vote required. Estimated tax impact is 12 cents per thousand. Do it. Thank you. And second? Ellie? Great. Richard?
Same speech, only this one is for the highway department, to replace the trucks and equipment. Believe me, $100,000 isn't enough money anymore. Presently, there's $26,000 in that fund. Trucks now run over $200,000. A lot of trucks we use to keep the roads clear. So it is not to impact the taxes this year. I didn't increase this year, but I expect it next year. We just got gotta get more money, or we've gotta find different ways of funding, but, still like everyone to support this. Yes, that's it, thanks.
Any additional comments, questions? Anyone? Okay. Move this to the ballot. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Article 18. To see, I'm sorry, I just got through my papers, so I'd be more efficient, and I screwed it up. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be added to the fire apparatus replacement capital reserve fund previously established. Majority vote required. Estimated tax impact is 12 cents per thousand. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Perfect, thank you. Chief?
Fire Chief Graham Pellerin, Rich so eloquently explained the purpose of capital reserve funds. There's the same thing for fire apparatus. Currently, we have $438,133 in there to buy a new piece of apparatus, like a fire engine. Our attack engine is going to be about $500,000. The replacement schedule as of right now is usually every 20 years. The tanker will be pushed out 2 years. That'll be 22 years. The truck will be 22 years old. In January of this year, we did over 100 calls for service, both fire and EMS. So the trucks are getting used more. We're getting more calls with All American, with the Chinburg property being proposed, with more business and more residents coming to town. I hope you support this article.
Does anyone have any questions or comments on this article? Okay, if not, all in favor of moving this article forward as presented, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, Article 18, right, Tammy? To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $55,000 for the purpose of restoration work on the foundation, sills, and roof of the Grace Daily Barn, and to authorize the withdrawal of $55,000 from the Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund for this purpose. This special article is a special warrant article per RSA 32:3, Roman numeral 6D, and RSA 21:7, Roman numeral 5. The Select Board and the Budget Committee recommend this appropriation. No tax impact, majority vote required. Thank you. Second? We'll go with Phil this time. Okay, Mr. St. Hilaire?
So this is basically, the money is already in the fund. We're not really raising taxes, we're raising taxes that we've already spent and put in the fund and above building maintenance with the fund. It's the way barn on the side of town hall, just the other side of the parking lot. You've been in, you should, if you look up in the sharp eye, you'll see that the back sills dropped, I think the number's 15 inches where the building is in a lot of shape. The roof needs to be replaced. You can't do the roof without taking care of the structure. So it's fix the foundation, replace the rotten sills. There'll be some roof hole structural work done on the roof and then shingle it. We do have a couple of bids that go in from folks that actually do this, historic barns. Hopefully some of them are speak after me about the barns and the significance, but buildings need repair. Hopefully you'll support this.
I'm assuming comments? Excellent. Mr. Landry?
I'm Murray Landry from the Heritage Commission. That barn is about an 1835, 1837 English barn. It's, we're not totally sure whether it was built there or moved there, but English barns really are like Henn Street at this point. They're an old style, so like I say, in the early 1800s, and then finally we transitioned into the old Yankee barn. This barn was part of the parsonage that was the Grace Daily House back in the day. And back in about the 70s, the town voted at town meeting to allow the museum to use the barn to house its major items. Right now, the town town purse, as you their carriages, slaves, and things of that nature. And so, like I say, in the 70s, the town voters who maintain and use the barn, they gave them a couple of $1,000s at the time to do repairs. Probably about over the time since that time. In a major way, it's had some minor repairs here and there, but I think over time, I don't recall, I don't know if Richard recalls any major repairs to the barn. So it is a town building. It really needs a lot of care and a lot of attention to get it back up to where it should be. And so that's the purpose of this one. So make sure that if we retain the barn and be able to house all the equipment that's in there at this point.
Mr. Coombs?
I just wanted to speak to why this is on there. It's just so people know where money goes. We've done the same when we did the roof on the Nichols Museum, as well as the stonework, because they're larger ticket items. And but I did want to speak to the fact that you couldn't even put a metal building up for $55,000, and there's items in there that we need to protect. So it's kind of hitting two birds with one stone. It's preserving a historic building, and it's providing storage to equipment that we want to preserve. So I would ask you to support this.
Any further questions or comments on this article? If not, can I have a vote to move Article 15 to the warrant as presented? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Article 19. On petition of the Kingston Heritage Commission and 54 registered voters, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to be placed in the previously established Heritage Fund, to support preservation and utilization of the town's historic properties. Estimated tax impact is 1 cent per 1,000. Can I have a motion from someone? We have Kevin, and we have, how about a second from you? Second from Rich. Okay, would someone like to speak to this article? Mr. Landry?
This is an article to help to have some funding available on an emergency basis, so to speak, so that the Heritage Commission can fulfill its mission of preserving the heritage in the town. We did not put in the warrant article last year because of the way the finances were, and so we are putting in one this year to try to establish a little more money into the capital reserve fund. The way we use this is in a lot of ways as an emergency item when we're looking for grants. Back a few years ago, the town was working on establishing a historical resources chapter to the master plan. And the town was able to get a grant to do that. But normally when you get a grant, you pay up front for what you need to have done, and then you get reimbursed. And so when we went to have this master plan chapter prepared and contracted with an architectural historian, we wound up having this is one of the ways that we use this fund over time. We did at one time use a little bit of money to do an archaeological phase 1 survey of the recreation center property when they were doing a lot of the changes as far as taking the trees down and putting in the basketball courts, because we had reason to believe that there may have been some Native American involvement in that area based on information that we had of sites local to that. And so the town did an archaeological survey. We found just minor archaeological remnants from the Native Americans, but at least it allowed us to do our due diligence to make sure that we were looking at what we needed to look at. And so this is the kind of activity that we use this fund for.
All set? Does anyone have any questions, comments? Nope, all set? Okay, can I have a vote to move this to the ballot? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Article 20. On petition of 43 registered voters to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to be placed in the Land Acquisition Capital Reserve Fund for the future purchase of development rights, conservation easements, and other land acquisition to conserve the town's rural character, provide open space for outdoor recreation by the public, and help stabilize the tax base. Estimated tax impact is 1 cent per thousand. Do I have a motion? Mr. Russman, and a second? Mr. Coombs. Okay.
Yes, we appreciate your support for this. We've been doing this for 24 years now, we started. And the master plan calls for 25 to 30% of the land preserved as open space in town. We have about 450 acres to go, and we've got some land in play right now that if that day had come to fruition, we'd have about 350 acres in a quarter of the town, which is what New York City has for Central Park. That's about 850 acres park, which is huge stuff to think about. Most of us here today like Kingston the way Kingston is, and so we kind of like it to continue to look like Kingston. And so this is the best way to do it. The beauty of this program is it has an endpoint. Once we get to that, we're coming back for more money. And we set it up so that the people have to vote on it to take it out and to spend it on a particular parcel, because we want it to be your decision to protect these parcels. Most of them are open for hunting and for snowmobiling and things of that, and other recreational uses. So we had like 30 votes, I think, so far, and every one of them was passed, and we really appreciate it. Last year we didn't put one in because the selectmen suggested that everybody keep it down if they could, and this year we went just at 5,000, we've done 10,000 or more, but also cognizant of that taxes, so y'all got paid. We appreciate your support on this one. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions on this article? Yes? Please come to the microphone and state your name for the record for Tammy. I mean, we know who you are, but.
Madam Bradford, Thomas Captain. I have a question that I would like to bring up. On all the reserve funds that come up to add to the reserve funds, would it be possible to list on the ballot what you have in the reserve funds now, and then put your amount? That way, they could pack the things. You don't know what's already in it. You might not need it, even though the selectmen and everybody says you do. You get a tough, lean year that people are struggling to pay their bills. They might just say, listen, let's miss it this year, see how it goes next year. Because I think that would be much better if you knew what they already have in the budget.
Well, I'll see if we can get an answer for you. Anyone want to address this? Ms. Alessio, and then.
A quick question on that. I do not believe that legally we can place that on the ballot.
Why?
Because the state of New Hampshire dictates what goes on the ballot, how it's worded, what's going on. No, I'm not, what I'm, wait, Kathy, wait.
Let them answer the question before.
The information you request is available at any time at the selectman's office. I don't know if it's online, it could also be online. But we get, I know as a select board member, we get a monthly accounting of all the trust funds and what the balances are. That's public information. No one's trying to deceive anything. And I bet if you asked the different committees, how much is in the land fund, for example, I think there's over $400,000 in there. But when you buy a parcel of land, you're gonna need $200,000 or $300,000. The same thing with if you buy a truck for the highway department. Rich asked for $100,000, but those trucks go for $400,000 and $500,000. And while we look to get a better price than what's out there, you have to, the purpose of saving for it is that when we actually make the purchase, we as taxpayers don't have a big hit in our tax bill that year.
I understand why.
Right, but that information is available. But I do not believe the Secretary of State would allow us to print that on the ballot. That's not to say we couldn't have those a listing at the town polls.
It's in the town report.
It's a dead end town report.
If I can just add to it, that information that you're looking for is listed in the town report every year, and it has the name of the fund and the amount of money that's in it, which is available prior to the election. So while it's not on the ballot, it is available for all of the voters to see how much is in there, which I think is what you're asking for.
Because
I understand.
everybody reads
Right.
the report, unfortunately.
Well, but at least now anyone who wants to knows where they can find it. It's right in the town report, and it's my understanding that you can actually contact the selectman's office, who would actually mail it to your house if you couldn't come up to the town hall to get one. So that way you'd have the information. Okay. All right. Kevin, did you want to add anything?
Well, I was just going to say, in talking with the chair, we could easily print that. We could have it posted on the board at the meeting. When you go to vote, it'll be posted up there for informational purposes. Okay? And if I could just add one other thing, because it was brought to my attention for the default budget. Once it was brought to our attention, it'll be $5.28 per thousand.
Oh, for the, how much the default tax impact would be?
is. And we could,
$28.
$5.28 per thousand, you can have that added in.
Thank you.
I think that was an oversight. We were well aware of the warrant article that passed. It was just
And
an
that's why
oversight.
we have this,
That's
so that it
exactly
will take care of any of those questions and concerns prior to the final printing. Mr. Coombs?
And just on the information side of things, if at any point there's information like that that anyone would like, you can email Susan Eyre, our administrative assistant for the selectmen, and she can email that to you as well. You don't have to check the town report, and that'll give you the updated information. I will say, as Mr. Russman pointed out, the land acquisition fund did not seek any money from the town last year just because we didn't know what the status was going to be with COVID. We didn't know what was coming in for taxes, so we had requested that, you know, if it isn't absolutely necessary, to just trim it this last year. And I think the boards and, you know, the departments have all been very cognizant when we've requested that, they've cut back. Like Graham had said, you know, we've pushed schedules beyond what was planned. So it's not like we're sitting on piles of money. We try to tailor it each year based on costs or, you know, what potential tax implications are. Because we are concerned about people being able to pay their bills and being able to stay in town.
Do we have any other comments or questions on that particular article? If not, I'll ask for a vote to move that to the warrant and ballot as written. All in favor, say aye, please. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, I'm going to read the next article, but then since we're about to break a record on being done, I just want to tell everybody there are going to be a couple of announcements afterwards, so once we're done with the last article, don't everybody rush out of the room. Just let us finish up. So Article 21, on petition of 34 registered voters, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,331, approximately $1 per person, to support the community wellness services of the SoRock Coalition for Healthy Youth. SoRock provides critical resources to youth and families to reduce substance misuse and support mental health through education programming and the leveraging of local, state, and federal resources for the benefit of the towns they serve. Estimated tax impact is 1 cent per thousand. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second? Mr. Wilson was first. Oh, you know what? No. Put Chief Briggs.
Now we know you were here today.
So do we have someone who wishes to speak to this article? If you just say your name for the record, please.
Charlotte Scott, I'm the program director for the SoRock Coalition for Healthy Youth. I just wanted to mention, as everybody knows, substance misuse and mental health issues are not going down during the pandemic. Our services are more used and accessed and needed than ever. We really support the past 2 years of support from Kingston. I just also wanted to make sure that everybody knows we are not exclusively a youth services or a youth-focused organization. We're an across-the-lifespan organization. So if anybody of any age from birth to death needs our services or our assistance with anything along the prevention, treatment, recovery, or mental health continuum, We are available to you, and we don't just want your tax dollars, we want your engagement and involvement at all times. So please, our information is in the back. If anyone wants to reach out to us or needs anything from us, please access us, anytime.
Comments, questions? Mr. St. James?
I'd just like to take a second to speak. Last year, I voted against this publicly, and to be honest, I'm ashamed of myself. I'm begging the voters to continue to fund SOROC. I didn't know much about them, but I took the time to learn their organization. They are not a new organization. It's just that they lost all their funding, and they had to come to the taxpayers to look for funding. They have been in existence for over 12 years. Charlotte Scott is a one-woman army. As she pointed out, the mental health and opioid crisis is not going away. It is getting worse. And to be honest, the state is just ignoring it and kicking the can down the road. It's the taxpayers that really, whether it's through state or not, have to pay it. But this is directly servicing residents in Kingston, Newton, Fremont, and the area all about us. I just implore you to please support this article. They're doing incredible work because no one else is picking up the pieces for these kids, and it's getting harder and harder to be a kid.
Just one more comment, although I appreciate Kevin's one-woman army statement. We are a coalition, and we have the involvement of all of our 8 towns, and the mental health agencies involved in those towns, the schools involved in those towns, the town administration involved in those towns, and everybody else that can service our youth, including our civic groups. We've been incredibly blessed to be backed by the local Lions Club, and other civic organizations. So if anyone has any questions, I'm available anytime.
Does anyone have any further comments or questions? I will ask then for a vote to move this forward to the warrant as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Oh, we have another.
Madam Moderator, I move to restrict reconsideration of Article 21.
Oh, please.
So moved.
Okay. So this means that we're about to end the meeting, but that's okay. It means that that can't be changed in any way during this meeting. If we have some more business and then someone asks to reconsider it and ask for a different number, that can happen without a whole bunch of other stuff going on. So we have a motion to reconsider. Do I have a second? We'll have Mr. St. James. We'll do that one. So does everyone understand what's going to happen if we vote for this? Okay. All in favor of restricting reconsideration on Article 21, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That carries, so that's a given. We're done now with the articles we need to talk about today. There is paperwork at the end that many of you have already picked up that does actually have all the planning board articles on them and the offices that are being chosen at the election. I believe that this is the actual language and it's not the amended.
Yes.
Small, yes. So if you pick this up, it does have the full language of the planning board. It will be available at the election, but you will have it because the ballot will be smaller and more condensed. The other thing I want to let everybody know is that if you need to see this again to remind you of anything, the deliberative session will be available to be viewed on YouTube. If you do a search for Kingston NH, it should show up. It is also usually re-shown on the cable channel. I haven't confirmed that with the selectmen, but if they choose to re-show it, we'll put a slide up on the cable channel that will tell you when it will be re-shown, so you'll be able to see it, view it, record it, whatever you wish to do. The election is Tuesday, March 8th at Swayze Gym from 8 to 8. We also are going to have a candidates night this year. There are some contested positions. That will be Thursday night, February 24th at 7 p.m. Candidates will be contacted. People haven't been contacted yet, but I figured while we were here, we just let you all know. Did the selectmen have anything else?
We do.
Thank you.
We have a member of this board who will not be running for re-election, and we wanted to take this time to recognize their service. Chief Don Briggs has served as a selectman first from 1992 to 95, and then from 2018 to the present. It's 2021 for him. So we wanted to take this time to recognize his service as a selectman and present the certificate of recognition. Thank you for your support.
I've never known you not to have something to say, so.
I don't know.
I know.
I like the color.
Can I eat it or drink it?
What do you think?
Uh-oh, should I open it here? Oh. Anybody like it? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Don, have you been in the sun? You're a little red.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything to come before this body before we close the deliberative session? Excellent. If not, I'll declare the deliberative session is closed at, what is it, 9:47? Okay.